Hello YouTube! A while ago we had the version 3.4 livestream showing all the new goodies we are going to have in the game, and I know a bunch of things were announced and shown there, but in this video I will just focus and talk about the new Lightcones we are going to have available from now on. My name is Phoenix, and like I said before, in this video I will talk about the new 4-star Lightcones of this version, what they do, who can use them, and if they are worth getting. Just before the video starts, don't forget to leave your sub and a like if you find this video useful or simply to support my work. 98% of you are not following the channel and I post content almost every day, so I'm sure you won't regret it. Also, follow me on my other socials if you want to be on par with everything related to me. All the links will be in the description, so without any furthers, let's start by talking about these new Lightcones. The first Lightcone I'm going to talk about, it's going to be the only one on this video that won't be related to the Battle Pass. The story's next page is a 4-star Remembrance Lightcone that will be available for us to pull on Finons and the corresponding reruns Lightcones banner. This Lightcone has a good base HP of 1058, a small base attack of 370 and a decent base defense of 397. On its passive at S1, this Lightcone will increase the wearer's max HP by 16%, and after the wearer Memo Sprite attacks, both the wearer and their Memo Sprite outgoing healing will increase for 12%, lasting for one turn. Something that at S5 can be 32% HP and 24% outgoing healing. After reading and understanding what this Lightcone does, it's clear that it's made for an HP scaler or a healer from the Remembrance path, leaving us with only two options, Castoris and Hyacinth. And no, Remembrance MC cannot use this since they are the ones providing healing and only for Mem. And for the passive to work, Mem needed to be the one healing the team. Starting with Castoris, for those free-to-play players that didn't buy the previous Battle Pass Lightcone, didn't pull for her signature and do not plan on buying the new Remembrance Battle Pass Lightcone, then I gotta tell you, this will be your best option for Castoris if you fit into this criteria I just said. Among all the free-to-play Lightcones you can get from the Remembrance path, this is the one that provides the most amount of HP for your Castoris. So, if you don't plan on pulling her signature and buying the Battle Pass Lightcones, this is actually a good Lightcone to keep in mind. And, as the last character that can utilize this Lightcone, we have Hyacinth. And on the contrary of Castoris, she can actually fully utilize this Lightcone. But let's not forget Hyacinth has an extremely good F2P Lightcone already, that may not offer that much HP or healing bonus for her and Ika, but gives something way better, which is speed for her and damage for the team. And you can fully S5 it for free just by playing the simulated universe modes and without having to require unlock on the gacha system. So, I would only recommend using this Lightcone on her if you're already using her best F2P option on another character, like Remembrance MC for example. Now, moving to the Lightcones that will be exclusive to the Battle Pass. And let's start with the Preservation Lightcone, Journey Forever Peaceful. Journey Forever Peaceful is a 4-star Preservation Lightcone that will be available on the Battle Pass. This Lightcone has a good base HP of 1058, a small base attack of 370 and a very high defense of 529. On its passive at S1, this Lightcone will increase the wearer's provided shield strength by 12% and increase the damage dealt by allies protected by a shield by also 12%. Something that at S5 can be 24% shield strength and 24% damage increase. After reading and understanding what this Lightcone does, it's clear that it's made for a defense scaler that provides shields from the preservation path, leaving us with a bunch of options to be honest. I will start by talking about the characters that even though that can utilize this Lightcone, I don't recommend doing so just for the purpose of buffing the team, and those are March 7 and Preservation MC. Both of them provide shields for the team or specific characters, but their problems comes when you realize about their mechanics. Preservation MC has a weaker shield in general, because they are meant to be constantly creating new shields and taunting enemies, so they are more of a way to mitigate damage instead of fully sustaining the team. And March provides a taunt for the one that shields, already asking for the shield to not last that long. So the reason why even though they can use it, I don't recommend this Lightcone for them, it's because their shields are extremely weak compared to the others, and I don't think the shield strength bonus provided by the passive will help you maintain the damage buff all the time. And, as the last characters that can utilize this Lightcone, we have Aventurine and Jeopard. But then we have a problem. Both characters already have extremely good and preferable options. Both of them like to use Universal Market on teams that need the debuffs. Both of them also can use the 4-star Gacha Lightcone Day 1 of My New Life, which at S5 provides 12% all type res for the team just by using this Lightcone. And for last, both of them can use Jeopard's signature Lightcone, which is also considered F2P now and that provides a lot of defense for them, leading to pretty much unbreakable shields. So, in the end, regarding those two characters, I only recommend going after this Lightcone if you don't have any other previous options I listed and you don't plan on playing these sustainers on teams with debuffs, for example. Now, moving to the new Abundance Lightcone on the Battle Pass, Unto Tomorrow's Morrow. This Lightcone has a good base HP of 1058, a decent base attack of 476 and a small defense of 397. On its passive at S1, this Lightcone will increase the wearer's outgoing healing by 12% and increase the damage dealt by all allies with 50% HP or higher by also 12%, something that at S5 can be 24% outgoing healing and 20% damage increase. After reading and understanding what this Lightcone does, it's pretty clear that they copy-pasted the Preservation Lightcone and switched the things needed for it to work on an Abundance character. So it's made for a sustainer that can maintain your characters with at least more than 50% HP from the Abundance pet, leaving us with even more options than on the Preservation case, to be honest. Just like on the Preservation Lightcone, I will start by talking about the characters that even though that can utilize this Lightcone, there will be times that may not be able to always guarantee the damage buffs. And those characters will be Huohuo, Lynx, Natasha and Bailu. All of them heal on their skills and ultimates. And Huohuo, even though she doesn't heal on her ultimate, she has her blast skill and talent to help her on that regard. The only problem with these characters is the fact that sometimes you will end up depending on luck to maintaining the damage buff, since with them you can't guarantee a continuous amount of healing that will always prevent your characters from going below 50% HP even when they get focused by enemies, for example. And for the characters that in my opinion can fully utilize this Lightcone, we have Luocha, Linksha and somewhat Gallagher. I will get it over with regarding Luocha and Linksha. Both of them have an emergency healing that will always activate when someone goes below 50% HP, already allowing you to maintain the passive at least until they have their next turn. And while Linksha heals with her burst as well and Luocha doesn't, it has this field mechanic, which, at least based on my experience, will always leave your characters pretty much at max HP. And now, moving for Gallagher. Just like Luocha's field, Gallagher has a similar mechanic, where he will mark enemies and every time your allies attack they will heal themselves. And the fact that Gallagher also heals a lot and provides healing not only on his skill, but also on an enhanced basic after using his ultimate also helps him a lot on this regard. So, for these reasons, I actually think that this Lightcone will be a good option in some specific teams, because we can't forget that all these characters already have good 4-star options, for example. So it makes it harder to say that this one is better, because depending on your teams, it may not be. Now, talking about the new Harmony Lightcone on the Battle Pass, In Pursuit of the Wind. This Lightcone has a good base HP of 1058, a decent base attack of 476, and a small base defense of 397. On its passive at S1, this Lightcone will increase all allies break damage dealt by 16% after entering battle, something that at S5 will go to 24%. After reading and understanding what this Lightcone does, it's pretty clear that it's meant to be used on an Harmony support that will be present on any type of break teams, leaving us with 3 options for now: Run May, Harmony MC, and somehow Asta. For this Lightcone, instead of talking about each character individually, I will straight up say that this Lightcone is a side grade at max compared to the other options these characters could use already. All of these characters already have access to amazing 4-star Lightcones before, like DDD for more actions for the team, or even Memories of the Past, a Lightcone that not only increases their break effect, but also gives them energy. So, for this case, I only advise going for this Lightcone if you don't care about the action value, the energy, or personal break effect stats for your Harmony break supports, and your ultimate goal is to boost the damage of your main break DPS the best you can. But in my humble opinion, any of the other 2 4-star break support Lightcones provide something more valuable than a simple break damage increase. Now, moving to the new Remembrance Lightcone on the Battle Pass, the Flower Remembers. This Lightcone has a good base HP of 1058, a good base attack of 529, and a small base defense of 331. And on its passive at S1, this Lightcone will increase the wearer's crit damage by 24% and the wearer's Memo Sprite crit damage dealt by also 24. Something that at S5 can be 40% crit damage for the user and 48% crit damage dealt by the Memo Sprite. After reading and understanding what this Lightcone does, it's pretty clear that it's made for any Remembrance unit that scales with crits, which for now it's all of them, leaving us with pretty much everyone to consider. I will start by talking about Remembrance MC and Hyacinth, because even though they can use this Lightcone to improve their damage if they are built as damage dealers, there are still some caveats for those who don't use them as DPSs. And that's what I'm going to talk about now. Starting with Remembrance MC, this Lightcone will be pretty much a crit damage stat stick for Mem only, and I would need to do further testings regarding its second passive, but from what we can read, it says crit damage dealt by the Memo sprite, meaning this wouldn't appear on Mem's stats, so the only crit damage they will be giving to the team is the crit damage the Trailblazer would get, meaning that this would give the team at best 5% extra crit damage, which is not worth it. For Hyacinth, the situation is a bit different because she actually wants to have some crit damage on her stats, since she always crits. But, like I said, when talking about the other Remembrance Lightcones, she already has access to an amazing F2P option that provides something more important than crit damage for her. And for last, we have Aglaia and Castoris. Starting with Aglaia, she can totally utilize this Lightcone, but there is something that goes against this Lightcone for her, and that's the fact that it's a crit damage stat stick pretty much. Aglaia will already be paired with Sunday 99% of the times, so she'll already get tons of crit damage from him. So for these reasons, even though she can use this Lightcone, Lightcones that provide crit rate, damage, speed or even attack end up being better because of how saturated Aglaia is on crit damage. And a similar thing can be said to Castoris, since she'll be paired with Remembrance MC that already provides crit damage for the whole team, but on her case, since all the other Remembrance Lightcones provide stats that she doesn't need, like attack or speed, provide stats that she can be saturated pretty quick, like crit rate, or provide damage buffs that she will barely have full uptime, I actually think this Lightcone is a good option for her. Now moving to the new Destruction Lightcone on the Battle Pass, a Trail of Bygone Blood. This Lightcone has a good base HP of 1058, a good base attack of 529, and a small defense of 331. On its passive at S1, this Lightcone will increase the wearer's crit rate by 12% and their skill and ultimate damage dealt by 24%, something that at S5 can be 20% crit rate and 40% skill and ultimate damage. It's pretty clear that it's made for any Destruction DPS that scales with crits and uses a lot their ultimate and skills. And the best part is that no matter if the DPS scales with attack or HP, since this Lightcone provides good base stats, they can still use it as long as they deal skill and ultimate damage, leaving us with tons of options. I will start by mentioning the characters that cannot use this Lightcone, or even if they do, they will never fully utilize what it offers. And for those, we have Clara, Blade, Dunhang and Vibrator Lune, and Firefly. It's pretty self-explanatory. Firefly doesn't care about crits or skill and ultimate damage because she's a break DPS. Most of Clara's damage is follow-up attack, and Blade and Dunhang don't do damage with their skills and their main source of damage is instead their basic attacks. So for these reasons, you can still use this Lightcone for the stat 6 of the crit rate it offers, but you have better options for them anyways. And for those who can use it, we have pretty much all the other characters I didn't mention before. But I will only focus on talking about those characters that will fully utilize it anyways. Starting with Yunli. She's a character that will always be spamming skills and ultimates, and will also enjoy crit rate more than crit damage due to her best in slot ornament and supports already giving her that. Jingliu is another character that will like this Lightcone a lot, since after the buffs she became an HP scaler that gains a lot of crit damage. So after those changes, every attack Lightcone will become useless for her and you will want to focus your builds more on HP percent instead of crits. So this Lightcone will help you a lot on still achieving the 50% crit rate needed before battle, while also providing damage to the two things she will be using all the time. My Day is a similar case. His best in slot 4-star option was a Secret Vow because of how much he really likes damage buffs. So now he not only has a Lightcone that can give him 100% uptime on damage buffs, but also helps him achieving better crit values. And for last, I'm going to talk about Saber and Finon. From the livestream, we could see that both of them will spam skills and ultimates, and on Finon's case, he will get new skills while on his ultimate state, making this Lightcone also amazing for him. What can I say? It's just another GOAT Lightcone for the destruction path. Talking about GOAT Lightcones, let's talk about the new Erudition Lightcone on the Battle Pass, a Dream Scented in Wheat. This Lightcone has a decent base HP of 953, a good base attack of 529, and a decent base defense of 397. On its passive at S1, this Lightcone will increase the wearer's crit rate by 12% and their ultimate and follow-up damage dealt by 24%, something that at S5 can be 20% crit rate and 40% ultimate and follow-up damage. It's another situation of Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V since it's pretty similar with the Destruction Lightcone, and on its case, it will be good for characters that scale with crits and are focused on dealing ultimate and follow-up damage, leaving us with only 4 characters: Herta, Himeko, Jinguan and Jade. Before I talk about them, I want to talk about Argenti because I can predict that a lot of people will complain since he scales with crits and deals ultimate damage. For those who said that, it's true, you guys are right, but he is a character that already gains crit rate from his kit and has a pretty good 4-star option, which is exactly the previous Erudition Lightcone on the Battle Pass, since his S5 gives a total of 64% damage for everything on his kit, not only his ultimate. And what about those who can fully utilize it and I mentioned before? Well, it's pretty straightforward. All of them scale with crits and focus on dealing damage with their follow-up attacks and every now and then with their ultimates when the energy is full. But for Jade, I actually think this is now her best 4-star option, because her previous best 4-star option was the previous Battle Pass Lightcone Today's Another Peaceful Day, which at S5 would give her a total of 54% damage for everything in her kit. But if we look at this Lightcone also at S5, you will be sacrificing those extra 14% damage to get 20% crit rate. Something that she will enjoy since she already gets a max of 120% crit damage from her kit. If you don't plan on pulling for Jade's signature, this Lightcone is actually an increase of damage in my opinion. Now, let's talk about the new Nihility Lightcone on the Battle Pass, Holiday Terme Escapade. This Lightcone has a good base HP of 1058, a good base attack of 529 and a small base defense of 331. On its passive at S1, this Lightcone will increase the wearer's damage dealt by 16% and has a 100% base chance of inflicting the enemy after the wearer attacks with vulnerability, increasing the damage they receive by 10% for 2 turns. And the same effect cannot be stacked, something that at S5 can go up to an increase of 32% of damage dealt by the wearer and 60% of damage received by targets. We can see it will be good for Nihility characters that can deal good damage by themselves and would also like to apply debuffs that increase even more the damage of the team, which leave us with pretty much every Nihility character depending on the situation. The only ones I will talk about will be the ones that I think that can always stay with this Lightcone equipped, and that's going to be mainly Cypher. Like I said, this Lightcone can be used on pretty much any Nihility character, but if we want to fully utilize the passive, then only Cypher can do it. She wants to put debuffs, she deals good personal damage, and she already has vulnerability in her kit. All of this screams that this Lightcone was actually made with Cypher in mind. And now, as the last Lightcone we are going to talk about, we have the new Hunt Lightcone on the Battle Pass. See you at the end. This Lightcone has a decent base HP of 953, a good base attack of 529, and a decent base defense of 397. On its passive at S1, this Lightcone will increase the wearer's crit damage by 24% and their skill and follow-up damage dealt by 24%, something that at S5 can be 40% crit damage and 40% skill and follow-up damage. It's another situation of copying homework, since it's pretty similar with the Destruction and Erudition Lightcone. And on this case, it will be good for characters that scale with crits and are focused on dealing skill and follow-up damage, leaving us with 5 characters among all the Hunt characters: Archer, Dr. Ratio, Topaz, Mose, and Facial. I bet some people that don't remember or didn't read some of these characters' kits are thinking, "Hey Phoenix, Facial deals most of her damage from her ultimate, Mose also deals a ton of damage with his ultimate, and Topaz also deals damage with her basics, so this Lightcone is not as good on them." And well, if you think like this, you are wrong. These 3 characters have one of their major traces that completely solves this problem. Topaz's first major trace makes her basic attack now being considered a follow-up attack, and Mose's third major trace and Facial's second major trace makes their ultimates be considered as follow-up attack, while also giving them extra buffs. For these reasons, most of these characters' damage will be buffed by this Lightcone anyways, and this is why I will consider this Lightcone as their new best 4-star option, or at least on par with Swords Play on builds where you already have good crit values. And for the last 2 characters, Dr. Ratio and Archer, I think it's a no-brainer. Dr. Ratio mainly deals damage with both his skill and follow-ups, and Archer, even though deals more damage with his ultimate than with his follow-up attack, his main source of damage is his skill, which he will be able to spam tons of times. What do you think about these new Lightcones? One thing we can all agree, no matter if you are going to buy the Battle Pass or not, is that Honkai Star Rail is finally putting good and somewhat universal 4-star Lightcones on the Battle Pass. Because of the previous waves of Lightcones there, only the Erudition and Remembrance Lightcones were good. The rest was just usable or straight up bad. Thank you so much for staying until the end, and if you liked this video, don't forget to leave your sub and like. 98% of you are not following the channel, and I post content almost every day, so I'm sure you won't regret it. Also, follow me on my other socials to be on par with everything related to me, and don't forget to leave your opinion down there on the comments section. My name is Dphoenix, and it was my pleasure having you here. Catch you on the next one. Bye!